You are now listening to The Drowsy Trader. Before we begin, would you do something for me? In the comments, tell me what time it is for you and where in the world you're listening from. I read every one of them, and I always wonder, who's out there sharing this quiet moment with me? If these stories help you slow down, or reflect, or sleep a little easier, consider liking or subscribing, but only if it truly brings you peace. Now, close your eyes. Tonight, you are not yourself. You are an intern at Lehman Brothers. It is Friday, September 12th, 2008. The screens are glowing. The phones will not stop ringing. And the name on your badge is about to disappear from the earth. Your job? To shadow, to listen, to learn. And now, to watch a 158-year-old firm fall apart from the inside. This is a weekend of whispered meetings and vanished offers, of risk lines pulled, rescue talks dying, and old loyalties breaking. A weekend when the entire market holds its breath, and you wonder if it will exhale again. But it's also a moment you will carry forever. Not for the numbers, but for the faces you'll never forget. Let go. Let the stillness begin. The Drowsy Trader presents. You are an intern at Lehman Brothers, September 2008. The early morning light filters through the floor-to-ceiling windows as you step onto the trading floor. Monitors already flicker awake in a sea of neon green digits against black. Bloomberg terminals booting up with their familiar whir. There's a stale coffee aroma lingering from a pot left overnight, mixing with the faint hum of the HVAC. You take a deep breath. It's your routine. Arrive before most. Soak in the energy of this place. But today, the energy feels off. An uneasy hush blankets the usually buzzing open-plan desk layout of Lehman Brothers' fixed income division. You set down your bag at your station, trying to ignore the tight knot in your stomach. Lehman Brothers, the 158-year-old Wall Street firm you've dreamed of, is in trouble. Rumors swirl in the air like dust motes in the morning sun. Across the floor, you catch murmurs of conversation instead of the typical banter. 779, 45% down, Korea pulled out. A sales trader whispers into his phone. You recall yesterday's headlines. Hopes for a capital injection from Korea Development Bank evaporated abruptly, triggering a 45% plunge in Lehman's stock price to under $8. Under $8, an unimaginable level just weeks ago. The numbers blink in your mind. Only a year ago, Lehman traded near $86 a share. Now it's scraping the gutter. At a nearby desk, Aaron, a fellow summer intern, swivels in his chair to face you. Wild, huh? He mutters under his breath, pushing his dark-rimmed glasses up nervously. You only nod. Aaron always has the latest theory or gossip, and you've learned to take his whispers with a grain of salt. But today, his normally cynical smirk is replaced by a genuine look of concern. They say we might get bought out by Barclays or Bank of America, whichever throws a lifeline first, he continues, voice low. Or else, he doesn't finish the sentence, but you both know what he means. Or else, bankruptcy, an outcome once unthinkable for the fourth largest investment bank in the country. You log onto your Bloomberg terminal, fingers trembling slightly on the distinctive yellow and green keys of the specialized keyboard. Your screen lights up with news alerts. Lehman in crisis talks. Shares hit new lows. Fed convening emergency meeting. The financial media have been in a frenzy since dawn. CNBC on the wall-mounted TV is already blaring. A red breaking news banner underscoring a stern-faced anchor's commentary. Lehman Brothers employs 25,000 people worldwide, she says, reminding viewers of the human stakes. You swallow hard at that fact. 25,000 employees, A global empire of talent and ambition, now balanced on a knife's edge. How could it all unravel so quickly? A clap on your shoulder makes you flinch. It's Frank, your desk manager and the floor's seasoned veteran. He's in his mid-50s, suspenders taut over a crisp white shirt, the very picture of old-school Wall Street. "Morning, kid," he greets in a gruff voice that nonetheless tries for optimism. "Hell of a week, but we've seen worse." You search his eyes, bloodshot and ringed by dark circles. They don't match the confident tone. Frank has been at Lehman through every storm: the LTCM crisis, the dot-com bust, the aftermath of 9/11. He's famous for loyalty, a Lehman lifer. If anyone refuses to believe the end is near, it's Frank. "Just rumors," he adds, almost to himself. "Lehman's been around since 1850. The Fed's not going to let us go under, not after Bear Stearns." You hear the strain under his words. Back in March, Bear Stearns collapsed and was saved in a shotgun marriage to J.P. Morgan, greased by federal guarantees. Many assumed Lehman would similarly be shielded. Too big to fail, right? Frank still clings to that hope. A burst of static crackles from the overhead squawk box, the intercom that connects the whole trading floor. "Morning update in 5 minutes," announces a voice from upstairs management. All teams dial into the call. It's unusual. Normally there's just a daily email. The knot in your stomach twists tighter. You log into the conference line, as instructed, heart thumping. Around you, chairs scoot in and phones go quiet as dozens of traders and analysts lean in to listen. The air conditioning seems to roar in the silence. A senior executive's voice comes through, attempting a casual steadiness. "Good morning, Lehman Brothers team. As you're aware, there's been a lot of speculation in the markets. Let me assure you we are working diligently to address our capital position. The voice fades in and out. He's likely choosing words carefully. You catch phrases like strategic alternatives and ongoing negotiations. Frank rolls his eyes and mutes the call on your desk speaker, grumbling, "Typical PR spin. They're just trying to calm everyone." You glance at Maya Gupta, your mentor on the bond trading desk, who has been silently listening at her station. She offers a faint, reassuring smile when she notices your uneasy expression. Maya's in her early 30s, sharp-eyed and confident, known for her candid honesty and steady nerves in the madness of the market. But even she seems a bit pale this morning, tapping a pen against her notepad in a rapid staccato. When the call ends, an email pops up summarizing the points. Lehman will announce earnings early, exploring asset sales. Discussions with potential investors are ongoing. The firm line is, "We remain well capitalized and focused on serving clients." It's meant to be reassuring, but it only confirms that something big is happening, and soon. The trading floor begins to stir again, an undercurrent of whispers rising. No one outright says it, but you can feel the collective question hanging in the air. Is this the beginning of the end? The flicker of monitors intensifies as the trading day ramps up. Overhead fluorescent lights buzz quietly, their glow fighting against the gray morning clouds outside. You focus on your screens, where rows of bond prices dance nervously. At first glance, it seems like any other day in the markets, the usual matrix of numbers and charts, but the tension in the room is palpable. Your phone's intercom lights blink with incoming lines, and you hear the squawk box crackle again with a voice reading fresh news. Lehman Brothers reports $3.9 billion quarterly loss. Plans to shed troubled assets. Your heart skips. The news is out. A collective stillness holds for a split second as everyone absorbs the headline. Then the room detonates into activity. Phones start ringing off the hook. CNBC has the story on screen within seconds. A banner crawling. Lehman posts $3.9 billion loss. Moody's reviewing for downgrade. Maya curses under her breath, already speed dialing a client. Frank slams a newspaper down, muttering, "Damn it," as he scrolls through the internal memo that just hit inboxes. You quickly skim it. Indeed, Lehman's third quarter results are dismal. A nearly $4 billion loss, over $5 billion in write-downs on toxic real estate assets. In a bold move, management announces a plan to spin off about $50 billion of those bad assets into a separate entity, a so-called good bank/bad bank strategy, in hopes of cleansing Lehman's balance sheet. It's a desperate bid to restore confidence. But the memo also notes Moody's warning: without a major capital infusion or partner, our credit rating could be cut. A downgrade would be a death blow, making it impossible to borrow the short-term money that keeps the firm alive day to day. Your mouth goes dry as you digest the implications. This is the first sign of real trouble you've seen up close. Sure, you've heard rumors for weeks, but numbers don't lie. Facing a multi-billion loss and an urgent need for cash, the firm is effectively on life support. The market's response is swift and merciless. On your screen, Lehman's stock price starts free-falling within minutes of the announcement. $10, $9, $8, and dropping. "We've hit a fresh low," Maya notes with a forced calm, eyes on her monitor. The quote board blinks ominously. Minus $7.20, $7.15. Already below yesterday's close, approaching that $7.79 level where it plunged after the Korean bank fiasco. The graph looks like a sheer cliff. Hori Werd Kale. A younger trader a few seats over stands up, headset askew, and shouts to nobody in particular. "Who the hell is dumping this stock?" His voice cracks. "This is insane." Frank, on a call, waves at him angrily to sit down, but the sentiment is shared. Are short sellers pounding us? Are clients liquidating positions in a panic? Probably all of the above. How do you price a firm when the street stops believing in it? The question lingers in your mind as you watch bids vanish from the screen. Without trust, even an iconic bank can become worthless paper in hours. Amidst the chaos, your phone rings. Line 3, an internal extension. You pick up with a slightly shaky voice. "Fixed income, this is." But you're cut off by a familiar voice. "Julia from HR." "Hi, it's Julia. Could you do me a favor and confirm your personal email and cell number in the system today?" she asks softly. That's an odd request at such a frantic moment. You glance toward her desk across the floor. Julia, the senior HR manager, is half hidden behind a partition, papers strewn around. She meets your eyes for a split second, then looks away quickly, as if embarrassed to be caught. "Sure, I will," you respond. "Is everything okay?" There's a pause. "Just routine, dear," Julia says in a tone that is anything but convincing. "Thank you." The line clicks off. A sour taste forms in your mouth. HR verifying contacts, quietly preparing for something. It's the subtlest of red flags, but in this atmosphere every signal blares loud. You swivel back to your screens as an eruption of chatter breaks out. "Repo markets are tightening on us," one of the funding guys calls out from a nearby cluster. "Our overnight lenders want more collateral, like now." You recall from training that Lehman relies heavily on repo loans, borrowing cash overnight secured by assets like bonds. If creditors lose confidence, they demand higher haircuts, larger safety margins, on those loans or refuse to extend them at all. That's exactly what seems to be happening. Maya covers her phone's mouthpiece and relays to Frank. JP Morgan increased our margin requirements again. They're asking for an extra 5% on top of yesterday's 10%. It's getting worse. Frank's jaw tightens. JP Morgan is not only a competitor but also Lehman's clearing bank, the one that facilitates these repo agreements and holds collateral. If JP Morgan is raising haircuts, it means they worry we could default on our obligations. Frank barks into his phone at a trading counterparty. We are not going under, we're just in the midst of raising capital. No, you'll get your money, calm down. He slams the handset down and mutters something unprintable about damn hedge funds pulling lines. You overhear snippets from a nearby conversation. Apparently, hedge fund clients have started withdrawing their funds from Lehman's prime brokerage, moving their money to safer banks. It's a classic death spiral scenario. As word spreads of trouble, every counterparty tries to reduce exposure, which creates a liquidity crunch that causes the very collapse they feared. You feel a chill as you realize you're watching a bank run unfold in real time, just not the old-fashioned kind with depositors lining up outside. This one is happening in keystrokes and quiet phone calls, behind the scenes. He wado quine. Amid the flurry, Maya puts her handset on mute momentarily and turns to you. You holding up okay? She asks gently. Her eyes search yours with concern. It strikes you that even though she's juggling multiple client calls, she's still checking on you. You nod, managing a faint smile. I'm okay, a little overwhelmed. Maya nods in understanding. Just stick close. Do what I say and don't worry about the noise, all right? She says. We'll get through this. Her tone is reassuring, but the way she clenches and unclenches her fist around her pen betrays anxiety. You notice she's been jotting quick notes on her pad. Cash balances, client A margin call X about hedges. Even as an intern, you can tell she's strategizing to hold things together for her book of business. Suddenly, an alert pops up on everyone's Bloomberg chat. An internal broadcast from the CEO's office, marked urgent. You open it. It's a brief message from Dick Fold, the CEO himself. Team Lehman Brothers has been through many storms. We have stood for 158 years by focusing on our clients and our strengths. I assure you we are taking decisive action to fortify our firm. Keep your heads up and execute with the same dedication as ever. Dick. The floor falls quiet for a moment as people read. Some snort or roll their eyes at the boilerplate pep talk, but a few, like Frank, seem bolstered by it. See? The gorilla isn't panicking, Frank says, invoking Fold's nickname. We're gonna be fine. You want to believe it, that an institution so storied, with over $600 billion in assets on the books, can't just fail. Still, the cracks are spreading fast and everyone knows it. One of your monitors shows Lehman's bond prices now. The firm's own debt is trading at distressed levels, investors clearly betting Lehman might default. 70 cents on the dollar, 60 cents. Maya notes grimly as she scrolls through the quotes. A reflection of vanishing confidence. She explains quietly to you. When a bank's bonds tank like this, it's ugly. It means the credit market thinks we might go belly up. There's a hint of disbelief in her voice. It's as if even she can't quite accept that possibility yet. Lunch hour approaches, not that anyone is taking a real break. An assistant from the bullpen leaves a tray of sandwiches and waters on the desk row, likely a gesture from management to keep us going at our posts. Normally, there'd be joking about free lunch or arguments over turkey versus roast beef. Today, people just grab what they need in silence. You pick up a sandwich half-heartedly, stomach too knotted to feel hungry. As you take a sip of water, you notice Julia again at the far end. She's collecting printouts from the shared printer, stacking papers with trembling hands. One slips and flutters to the floor. She hastily picks it up, glancing around. Even from this distance, you catch a glimpse of what looks like HR forms, possibly severance package templates, or an employee contact list. She tucks them into a file folder and briskly walks out of sight, shoulders tight. Another small omen that sends your mind reeling. Is HR preparing for mass layoffs? For a shutdown, you rub your temples, feeling a slight headache forming. For a moment, you tune out the noise and gaze across the trading floor. The giant Lehman Brothers logo on the wall near the entrance gleams in corporate pride, as it did on your first day here. Phones ring, keyboards clack, traders gesture emphatically at screens, the motions of business as usual. But the usual jokes and laughter are absent, replaced by furrowed brows and hushed strategy huddles. In just a few hours, you've watched optimism drain from the room, replaced by a stew of determination and dread. This morning was uneasy, now it's full-blown anxious. And you have the sinking feeling that the day's only halfway through its bad news. Afternoon slides in with a suffocating weight. The fluorescent lights seem harsher now, casting stark reflections on the array of screens. You've never seen so many people on the floor not actively trading or chatting. Instead, many stare motionless at tickers, as if watching a slow-motion car crash they can't tear away from. Lehman's stock price keeps bleeding out, hitting fresh lows that would have been unimaginable even a week ago. $5, $4. The numbers pulse red on your monitor. Somewhere behind you a voice announces, Lehman at $4. There's no shock left in his tone, just a dull resignation. The equity that once gave employees pride and wealth is evaporating by the minute. It feels like witnessing a life support monitor flatline in a hospital. A sudden noise draws your attention. Maya's slamming her phone down. She exhales sharply and spins her chair toward you, eyes bright with anger or maybe fear. My client just canceled a trade. They don't trust we'll be around Monday to settle it, she says quietly. They outright said that. You see her hand tremble before she runs it through her hair, trying to regain composure. Counterparty risk. She spits bitterly. We've become a risk. The idea clearly stings. Lehman used to be a counterparty everyone was fine with. Now some clients treat it like a ticking time bomb, afraid they won't get paid if we go under. You don't know how to respond, so you just nod sympathetically. Nearby, Frank hangs up from a call and stands abruptly. Team meeting now, he announces gruffly, waving everyone in the vicinity to huddle around. You and Maya exchange looks and join, along with about 8 others from sales and trading. Frank's face is flushed. He's doing his best to appear in control, but you can see perspiration on his brow. Listen up. I know you're hearing a lot of crap out there. He begins, voice low but intense. Clients are spooked, markets are nuts, but we are Lehman Brothers. We don't fold just because the street's having a panic attack. A few nods answer him, but mostly anxious eyes. Frank continues. The top brass are working on a deal as we speak. Rumors of a buyout or big investment. They're real. Bank of America, Barclays, whoever. Someone will step in. He clears his throat. Our job is to keep this business running until they do. That means answering every client call and trading what we can trade. No one is to speak to the press or feed the rumor mill. Got it? Maya raises a hand slightly. Frank, clients are asking if we'll be open Monday. What do we tell them realistically? Frank's jaw ticks. You tell them yes, he says firmly. We'll be open. Don't let them think otherwise. He forces eye contact with each person in the circle. When he gets to you, you straighten up. And you, all of you interns, you represent this firm too. Keep your heads high. If someone asks how we're doing, you say, Business as usual. You swallow hard and nod. The last thing you feel is confident, but Frank's counting on bluster to project stability. It's a hallmark of old Wall Street. Never let 'em see you sweat. As people disperse back to desks, you notice Frank pull Maya aside and lower his voice. You only catch a snippet. "No, I'm not selling, that's final." Maya responds in an urgent whisper that you can't fully make out. Something like, "Think of your family, just in case." Frank shakes his head stubbornly and returns to his station without another word. Maya's expression is troubled as she returns. She sits down next to you and sighs, noticing your inquisitive look. "I tried to convince him to unload some of his shares," she confides softly, eyes on Frank's back. "He's got a ton of Lehman stock from decades of bonuses. It's basically his retirement nest egg." You glance over at Frank's desk, where a framed photo of his family sits. A smiling group at a beach, oblivious. Maya continues. "He won't sell, calls it disloyal. But if this goes south," she doesn't finish and doesn't need to. "If Lehman collapses, Frank's loyalty means nothing. The stock will be worthless, the nest egg gone." A few rows away, another scene draws your attention. Aaron, the other intern, is hunched over whispering with two junior analysts. They're not on calls. Instead, it looks like they're watching something on one of their screens. Aaron catches your gaze and waves you over with a subtle tilt of his head. Curious, you make your way there, weaving past a cluster of traders shouting over a stuck brokerage order. Aaron points to his monitor, which displays an internal system showing employees' ID badges swipes. It's something usually used by building security, but apparently someone figured out how to access logs. "Look at departures," Aaron mutters. On the screen is a list of names who swiped out of the building in the past hour, far more than those who swiped in. "These aren't smoke breaks," Aaron says. "People are leaving and not coming back." You scan the list, recognizing a few mid-level staff from various departments, even someone from compliance. Are they just going home early, or quietly clearing out? Suddenly, an alert on Aaron's Bloomberg terminal pops up, a message from a friend at Morgan Stanley. It's terse. "Heard your boss interviewing here, TMRW, heads up." Aaron curses under his breath. "See? People are jumping ship. I bet some MDs are out trying to get new jobs right now." One of the analysts adds in a whisper, "I heard 2 senior guys from fixed income quit this morning. They just left. Poof." You feel a pit in your stomach. The thought of key personnel abandoning the firm in its hour of need feels almost like betrayal, yet you can't blame them for wanting to save themselves. It's a chilling contrast. While some, like Frank, are going down with the ship out of loyalty or denial, others are quietly slipping on life jackets and finding the nearest exit. On trial. Back at your desk, an email from HR arrives, a firm-wide memo. It's titled, "Important Update, Equity Stock Plan." You open it nervously. It states that employees will temporarily be allowed to sell restricted Lehman shares that were previously under lockup from bonuses. This is extraordinary. Normally, bonus stock has vesting schedules, but HR essentially just freed people to dump their holdings if they want. A tacit admission that maybe it's better to let folks salvage what they can. You look up and around as people check the same email. The reaction is immediate for some. Within moments, a few brokers and younger traders are typing frantically, logging into their personal accounts to sell Lehman stock. "I'm not going to be the idiot holding the bag," one mutters as he executes an order to sell a few thousand shares of LEEH, Lehman's ticker. The price on the ticker dips further. It dawns on you. The very employees of Lehman are now scrambling to unload any shares they own, accelerating the decline. The irony is painful. Saving themselves hastens the firm's downfall. But who can blame them? Each trade might recoup a few $100s that could be zero by tomorrow. You glance at Maya. She hasn't moved to sell yet, though you know from an earlier chat that some of her bonuses were in stock too. She seems paralyzed, eyes unfocused at her screen. Then, with a resolve that looks like it hurts, she begins clicking through the internal portal to sell her shares. You see the confirmation window pop up and reflect in her glasses. She hesitates, finger hovering over the final execute button. In that moment, she looks more vulnerable than you've ever seen her, the confident mentor reduced to a scared employee about to cut ties with her own firm's future. She presses enter. A small confirmation pings. Maya closes her eyes briefly, perhaps holding back tears, then steels herself and goes back to business. Your chest tightens. This is first blood, the moment it feels truly real. If Maya, who bleeds Lehman green, is cashing out, what does that say about hope? A commotion breaks out to your left. One of the senior traders, normally brash and loud, has gone ominously quiet, head in hands. On his screen is a press release. Moody's has officially placed Lehman's credit rating on review for downgrade. The words blur in your mind, except the key part. If no big capital infusion or takeover is found fast, they will cut our rating. And that, as everyone understands, would be the final nail. The trader looks up, face pale, and says to no one in particular, "We have maybe 48 hours max." No one contradicts him. The rest of the afternoon becomes a blur of motion and exhaustion. More clients called to reduce positions, more accounts closed or moved. The credit default swap spreads on Lehman, essentially insurance against our default, hit record highs over 600 basis points, meaning it's astronomically expensive to insure against Lehman failing because the market sees failure as likely. That metric was an obscure one to you just weeks ago. Now it's all over the internal chat. Our CDS is trading like a junk country's. Someone laments on chat, half disbelieving. Like Venezuela. Between tasks, you catch snippets of desperate humor that only finance folks in deep stress can produce. At least our new HQ building signage will make a great eBay souvenir, one quips darkly. Another retorts, I called dibs on the conference room flat screens. It's morbid, gallows humor, and it dies out quickly because it's just not that funny when the abyss is staring back. By 4 p.m., the closing bell is still an hour away, but it feels like we've lived a week in a day. You've taken frantic notes, fetched documents, answered minor client emails as directed, all the while grappling with the reality that your entire internship, maybe your budding career, might be sinking alongside these venerable walls. Outside the windows, the late afternoon sun breaks through in streaks, oblivious to the turmoil inside. You find yourself absently listening to the rhythmic whoosh of the ventilation. Oddly, it calms you for a second, a reminder to breathe. Then a new sound rises. Applause? You turn to see a cluster of equities traders clapping and cheering sarcastically at one of their colleagues who just finished a series of rapid trades. It's not joyful, it's biting. They are mocking the absurdity that any normal trading is happening. One shouts, "That's it, folks, bottom's in. We're all rich." And the group laughs bitterly. The manager quickly shushes them, but it's a sign of frayed nerves. People are starting to crack around the edges. Amid this, Julia reappears briefly, moving swiftly across the floor with a thin stack of envelopes in hand. Her eyes are downcast. She might as well be a ghost drifting by. One envelope slips from her grip and lands near your desk. You instinctively bend to pick it up for her. Our eyes meet as you hand it back. "Thank you," she whispers. You catch a glimpse of the label on it. It's today's date, and the words "severance benefits information" before she tucks it away. It's like a punch to the gut. They are literally preparing severance packets. Julia offers you a weak smile that is gone in an instant as she hurries off. This is when you truly feel a flood of emotion rising in your chest. Fear, sorrow, even anger. It's not just numbers on a screen anymore or theoretical scenarios. It's people's lives and livelihoods, possibly including your own, being upended. The firm you idolized enough to join as an intern is bleeding around you. Your throat feels tight. Was this the moment it all slipped away? You wonder. You clench your fists under the desk, trying to muster some of Frank's fighting spirit, Maya's resilience. But you're just sad. This wasn't how any of you pictured your Wall Street baptism. The clock ticks toward the close, and you brace for whatever comes next, heart heavy but strangely determined to see this through, minute by agonizing minute. Barely has the closing bell rung on Thursday when a new directive comes down. All employees, please report to the auditorium on second floor at 5:30 p.m. for an important update. The email lands with a thud in your inbox, marked high importance. The message is succinct, giving no clue of the content. A ripple of murmurs passes through those remaining on the floor, which by now is a reduced crowd, many left after market close to either regroup or simply because they couldn't take the stress. You, Maya, Aaron, and Frank are among those still here. At 5:25, Frank appears at your desk, face stern. "Come on, let's go downstairs. We need good seats." A sense of foreboding accompanies you as everyone funnels toward the elevators, heading to the auditorium. This is not standard. Impromptu end-of-day all-hands meetings usually mean something huge. Maya walks beside you, clutching a notebook and pen out of habit. In the elevator, nobody speaks. The only sound is someone's foot tapping nervously, and the ding as we pass floors. It's hot and cramped, mirroring the pressure building in your chest. In the auditorium, you take a seat toward the middle. The room is buzzing with low voices. People from all divisions are here. You see familiar faces from equities, fixed income, IT, back office, all mixed. Up front, a small stage and a podium with the Lehman Brothers logo gleam under bright lights. It feels like you're about to watch a play, but this is no performance. Frank is on your left, arms crossed tightly. Maya on your right offers a quick reassuring nod, but her eyes are fixed forward. Aaron is a row ahead, craning to see. At 5:30 sharp, the CEO, Dick Fuld, steps onto the stage, accompanied by a handful of other top executives, the CFO, a couple of division heads, and notably, a representative from the legal team. A hush falls. You can almost hear hearts pounding. Fuld, usually imposing and confident, looks somewhat shrunken tonight. His tie is loose, expression grave. He grips the podium and begins, his voice amplified. "Thank you all for coming on short notice. I won't sugarcoat the situation. We are facing unprecedented challenges." The room is dead silent except for his voice. He outlines the facts we already know. The losses, the share price collapse, the liquidity squeeze. But hearing them enumerated by the CEO feels different, more stark. "We have been working around the clock on strategic solutions," Fuld continues. "We are in advanced discussions with several potential partners. This includes the possibility of a full firm sale or significant equity investment. Our goal is to protect our stakeholders and ensure Lehman Brothers continues to be a leader in this industry." His words echo slightly in the large room. You glance around. Some employees nod faintly. Others stare, arms folded. Up front, one of Fold's lieutenants, Aaron, interjects. We are also coordinating closely with government officials, the Federal Reserve, the Treasury, to navigate this situation. At that, a ripple runs through the crowd. Some exchange glances. Frank mutters under his breath next to you, so the Fed is involved. It's semi-reassuring. Perhaps the cavalry is coming? The CFO steps forward and says, "We have adequate capital for now, and we are managing our liquidity carefully. However, the rating agencies have given us a short window. This weekend is critical." The phrase, "this weekend is critical," sends a jolt through you. Everyone knows what that implies. If no deal by Sunday, Monday might be too late. During the Q&A portion, a brave voice from the back asks the burning question, "Mr. Fold, is bankruptcy a consideration?" You hold your breath. Fold stiffens. "We are looking at every possible solution other than that," he replies firmly. "Bankruptcy is not our plan." The way he says plan leaves a crack of uncertainty, but it's the reassurance he has to give. Another employee asks, "Will the Fed provide support like it did with Bear Stearns?" Fold's jaw works. This is clearly a sore spot. "The situation is different," he says carefully. "We don't have a lined-up acquirer like Bear did. The discussions with regulators are ongoing, but we should operate under the assumption that a private solution is needed. That's as good as saying no bailout." A murmur of dismay rustles. Some had clung to hope that Uncle Sam wouldn't let Lehman fail, but hearing it from the top, we're on our own. Throughout, Julia from HR stands off to the side of the stage, not speaking, just watching the crowd with a pinched expression. It strikes you that her presence, and that of legal counsel, might be precautionary in case the news was worse. You realize things could have been more dire. They haven't outright told us to pack up, after all. There's still the veneer of "we can survive this weekend." The meeting wraps up with Fold attempting a rally. "This firm has an incredible legacy," he intones, "and I believe it has a future. What we need now is for all of you to keep doing your jobs the way you always have, serving clients, managing risk, and supporting each other. We'll get through this." There's a polite, forced round of applause. It's an awkward moment. People want to show unity, but it's clear fear isn't dispelled by corporate pep talks anymore. As employees file out, conversation erupts in hushed tones, like steam finally releasing. "Did you hear that? No Fed help. Barclays or BofA by Sunday or bust, basically. God, bankruptcy's on the table even if he won't say it." Exiting the auditorium, Frank shakes his head and grumbles to Maya and you, "All talk. They should have had a deal ready by now." Maya counters quietly. At least he acknowledged the reality. It's better than false assurances. You notice her checking her phone, maybe for any breaking news. Aaron sidles up, whispering, "I heard a rumor that Bank of America's asking the Treasury to cover some of our bad assets as part of a deal. If the government says no, BofA walks." You frown. It's hard to tell where he got that, but it sounds plausible. Indeed, within minutes, as you all return to your floor, a Bloomberg alert confirms part of it. Talks with Bank of America hinge on government backing for Lehman assets. Hank Paulson, the Treasury Secretary, apparently is reluctant to use taxpayer money again, so soon after Bear Stearns. And the Fed's line, as you glean from a quick scan of an online article, is that Lehman lacks sufficient collateral for an emergency loan, unlike Bear or AIG. The implication is brutal. If no private deal, they will let Lehman fail. Back at your desk, twilight has fallen outside. The trading floor is nearly empty now, only a few clusters of people sitting together in post-meeting debrief. The monitors still glow, showing after-hours trading. Lehman's stock inches even lower in late electronic trading as those meeting details leak to the press. A couple of cleaning staff tiptoe around, emptying trash bins as if afraid to disturb the somber mood. You feel drained, emotionally and physically. Maya sits with you for a moment, both of you sipping lukewarm coffee from the break room. "How are you holding up?" she asks again softly. This time, the question carries the weight of everything we heard downstairs. You search for an honest answer. I'm not sure," you admit. "I'm worried, for everyone, for what happens next." In the dim light, you see Maya's usually bright expression fade into weariness. "Me too," she confesses. "I have friends at other banks texting me. They're saying they're sorry. They're asking if I need help networking. It's like they've already written us off." She forces a smile, but I told them, we're not dead yet. Frank, who had stepped away to call his wife, comes back to grab his jacket. "You kids should go home," he says, not unkindly. "Get some rest. Tomorrow's another day." He looks at you specifically. "Make sure you're in early, though. If anything moves overnight, we need to be on top of it." You nod. Frank then adds in a quieter tone, almost as if trying to convince himself, "They'll sort it out this weekend. We just have to keep things running till then." His words echo Fold's speech, but coming from Frank, with a heavy sigh at the end, they ring hollow. Maya pats his arm, and he musters a tired grin. "Good work today, both of you," he says. "This was one for the books, huh?" As Frank leaves, you notice he didn't even bother to shut down his Bloomberg terminal, an unheard-of break in routine. The screens cast a faint glow on his empty chair and the family photo still on his desk. It strikes you he might not have the heart to turn it off, as if doing so would admit defeat. It's nearly 8 p.m. when you power down your station. Only a handful of people remain, some in small knots discussing quietly, others staring at their screens as if answers might magically appear. Aaron has already left, with a quick, "later man, if there is a later," half joke as he slung on his backpack. Julia is nowhere to be seen, perhaps busy upstairs finalizing whatever grim paperwork HR must, or maybe she too left after the meeting. Walking out, you pass the lobby where the giant Lehman Brothers sign glints behind the reception. A security guard gives you a sympathetic nod. Even they likely know something is very wrong. Out on 7th Avenue, the city's sounds and evening air hit you. Cars honk. Tourists wander cluelessly past with shopping bags. Life outside goes on, business as usual, as if the ground isn't shaking beneath one of Wall Street's pillars. You linger a moment and look back through the glass doors. A few colleagues straggle out carrying laptop bags and worry on their faces. It dawns on you. This might be one of the last times we all walk out of here as Lehman Brothers employees. The weekend looms like a final exam that no one knows how to pass. As you head home through the twinkling Manhattan night, you feel simultaneously exhausted and wired. The meeting's details run laps in your mind. Private solution, no bailout, weekend deadline. There's a surreal thought. By Monday, the 158-year-old Lehman Brothers could either not exist or be part of someone else. You clutch your internship badge in your jacket pocket like a talisman, as if to reassure yourself this day was real. One thing is certain. Tomorrow, Friday, will be critical. Possibly the final full trading day for Lehman Brothers as the world has known it, and you'll be right there in the thick of it. Friday, September 12, 2008. The day begins under an eerie pall, as if even the weather knows something big is coming. You arrive extra early, the sky just starting to lighten with a pink dawn. Stepping into the trading floor, you find it already alive with activity. More so than usual at this hour. CNBC and Bloomberg TV are on nearly every screen, volume turned up. A cacophony of urgent voices spills from the overhead TVs. Breaking news: Lehman's fate hangs in the balance this weekend. The anchors speak in gravely serious tones, words like, quote, rescue talks, government pressure, systemic risk, punctuating the air. It's surreal to hear them talk about your firm, your colleagues, as though it's an injured animal on the savannah, being circled by predators. You settle at your desk, noting that Maya is already in. She has dark circles under her eyes. It looks like she barely slept. She offers you a wan smile. Morning, if you can call it that. She gestures to a stack of newspapers she's collected: The Wall Street Journal, Financial Times, New York Times, all blaring Lehman on the front page. One headline reads, U.S. gives banks urgent warning to find solution. Another, Lehman on brink as Barclays ends talks, with a subheader about Bank of America possibly turning its sights to Merrill Lynch. You skim an article. Apparently, Treasury Secretary Hank Paulson convened a meeting at the Federal Reserve Bank of New York last night with chiefs of major banks to hammer out a private rescue plan. The government has made it clear, no public money for Lehman. Instead, they're pushing big banks to pool resources to save it if a buyer can't cover everything. It's like some high-stakes poker game went on overnight, and we're the pot. Suddenly, a new banner flashes on CNBC. BofA rumored to abandon Lehman deal, in talks to buy Merrill Lynch. The whole floor reacts with a collective gasp and immediate chatter. What? Merrill? Maya's eyes widen as she reads the screen. Merrill Lynch, another storied firm, was not even publicly known to be on the block. If Bank of America would rather buy Merrill than us, that means one less savior and a damning vote of no confidence in Lehman. Frank arrives just in time to see that headline. He actually swears out loud, a rare breach of decorum. You've got to be kidding me. They'll buy Merrill but not us? His face turns red. Merrill's got problems just as bad. Phones are already lighting up. Clients calling, other banks calling us. The frenzy is here. One of your screens shows Lehman's pre-market stock price plummeting further on the Merrill news. $3, $2.75. The numbers bounce wildly. Trading isn't even officially open, and it's essentially a fire sale. You feel a physical jolt, seeing the share price of this great firm now akin to the price of a cup of coffee. The Dow futures on the side monitor slump as well, indicating the whole market is bracing for impact if Lehman goes under. Calls begin pouring in fast. The fixed income desk, usually a hive of analytical chatter, now sounds more like a customer service hotline in a crisis. You hear snippets. Yes, we understand your concern. Funds are safe for now. We expect clarity by Monday. Maya motions for your attention and hands you a post-it with a list of small client accounts and phone numbers. Can you help call these back? They just need reassurance, or at least a human response, she says. You nod, heart-pounding but grateful for a concrete task. As an intern, you've never directly handled client calls unsupervised, but these are unusual times. Just stick to the script, you tell yourself. Dialing the first number, a mid-sized asset manager in the Midwest, you steady your voice. The man on the other end immediately unloads. What the hell is going on over there? Is our money safe? You remember the guidelines Maya gave. Emphasize that Lehman is operational, all client assets are separate and safe, true for prime brokerage theoretically, and that we expect a resolution soon. You recite something along those lines as confidently as you can muster. The client's anger simmers into a kind of desperate plea. Look, kid, I know it's not your fault, but I have $50 million with you guys. If I don't move it and you go down, I'm finished. Can you swear to me I shouldn't pull out? A knot forms in your throat. He wants certainty you can't give. I understand, sir. You respond carefully. All I can tell you is that negotiations are ongoing at the highest levels to secure the firm's future. We're operating normally and, he cuts in, operating normally? I see your stock price. Nothing normal about that. There's a long pause, then his tone softens. Sorry for yelling. I'll figure something out. He hangs up before you can say more. You stare at the receiver, hand trembling. That was one of dozens of such panicked voices reaching in. And you, an intern, are one of the firm's voices reaching back. Next to you, Maya is simultaneously juggling two phones, headpiece on one ear, cell on the other. We posted that collateral. Where is it now? She snaps into the desk phone, likely talking to a clearing bank, maybe JP Morgan again. Into her personal cell, presumably to another client, she says with forced cheerfulness, No, don't worry, your trade will settle, we have the funds. Just some rumors out there. Her eyes meet yours briefly. You see sheer exhaustion mixed with adrenaline. CNN on the TV starts live footage outside the Lehman HQ. Reporters camped on 7th Avenue. Camera crews filming employees entering the building with tense faces. It's like watching our own reality from the outside. Lehman employees arriving for what could be the firm's final day. A reporter narrates somberly over B-roll of people swiping badges at the turnstiles. You spot a familiar face on screen. It's Julia, caught walking and carrying a stack of folders. The reporter notes, sources say HR departments have been on high alert at Lehman. It's a telling sign whenever HR is busy on a Friday in times like these. You cringe. Even the media knows the drill. Julia, on TV, avoids eye contact with the cameras, disappearing into the building. Another flash. Bloomberg News reports that the Fed has called an emergency meeting for later today with bank CEOs to continue working on a Lehman solution. They also mention that Treasury Secretary Paulson is firm about no direct bailout, but might support some industry-led solution. They pan over to show suited men entering the Federal Reserve Bank downtown. Names like John Thane of Merrill, John Mack of Morgan Stanley, Jamie Dimon of JP Morgan flash by. It's an extraordinary tableau, like scenes from an all-star finance movie, except it's real, and the stakes are the global economy. And here you are, inside the story but also strangely watching it unfold. Suddenly, a loud electronic chirp sounds. The Bloomberg terminals alert for a major news bulletin. Everyone sees it at once. Lehman Brothers expected to file bankruptcy if no buyer found by Sunday. Officials preparing contingency. Even though this was logically evident, seeing it in print hits like ice water. A collective chill grips the floor. Some people stop mid-sentence, phones dangling. It's as if someone announced a meteor, possibly striking Earth on Monday. Frank, who's been pacing while talking on a cordless phone, slams it down and explodes. This is BS. They're scaring off any last confidence we had. He's livid at the media, at the leaks, possibly at the reality. Who the hell is feeding them this? He growls. We haven't filed anything yet. Yet, the word hangs unspoken. Frank's outburst startles everyone. You see a few managing directors from across the floor glance over, but no one scolds him today. Everyone feels the same way. Amid this, another intern from operations rushes over to Maya and whispers something. Maya turns to you and says, I need to go check on something in ops. Can you cover any urgent desk tasks for a bit? You nod, happy to be useful. She jogs off, and you sit at her terminal, marveling at the flurry of Bloomberg messages on her screen. Traders from other banks are pinging her. You guys, okay? Any word on Barclays' revival? We pulled trading lines. Sorry. Boss's orders. That last one makes your stomach drop. Some bank openly admitting they stopped trading with Lehman today. Counterparty lines being pulled. More fuel on the fire. You don't respond, obviously. But the message just sits there, a cold reminder of how isolated Lehman is becoming. One Bloomberg chat blinks with a name you recognize. As a friend of Maya's at Goldman Sachs. If you need a lifeboat, we might have an analyst spot open. Call me next week, it reads. You inhale sharply. They're poaching her, assuming the worst. It's well-meaning perhaps, a lifeline for her, but it underscores the assumption that Lehman won't exist come Monday. You can't help but feel a wave of sadness and preemptive loss. A commotion by the TV area catches your eye. A small crowd has gathered around a screen where the Treasury Secretary Hank Paulson is giving a brief press statement from outside the White House. He keeps it high level, saying things like, "We are working with market participants to facilitate a resolution, and the government's focus is on stability, but we have to balance moral hazard." The reporters shout questions. Will you bail out Lehman? Will you let it fail? Paulson gives a tight-lipped reply. I never once considered it acceptable for the government to save every failing institution. Lehman's situation will be resolved one way or another. That cryptic but pointed remark says volumes. The government is drawing a line. Lehman may be the sacrificial lamb to prove a point about moral hazard. A pit forms in your stomach. Frank, having calmed a bit, stands near that TV and exhales. They're really gonna do it. They're gonna let us dangle. No one around him disagrees. One trader speaks what all are thinking. If the feds won't backstop, who's gonna buy us and all this toxic crap we have? Who wants $30 billion of bad mortgages? The question hangs. If Bank of America is out and Barclays is skittish because UK regulators balked at fast approval, who indeed? Moments later, Maya returns, looking frazzled. The back office is preparing for all scenarios, she murmurs to you, even bankruptcy filings, just in case. Can you believe it? Her voice shakes on the last part. You can believe it, but it's still unreal. She glances at her screen and sees the chat from her Goldman friend. A shadow crosses her face. She quickly closes the window, choosing not to acknowledge it right now. By late morning, the media frenzy and the trading frenzy are feeding each other. CNBC keeps a live countdown graphic, hours to save Lehman, __, as if it's a doomsday clock. They cut between shots of our building, the NY Fed building downtown, and panel discussions with experts predicting financial Armageddon if Lehman falls. You hear terms thrown around: systemic risk, counterparty exposure, credit markets freezing. It feels apocalyptic. Over in London, news shows footage of Lehman's Canary Wharf office where employees look equally distressed, although London operations are separate. They too are twisting in the wind. Noon comes and goes, not that anyone mentions lunch. A catering order of pizzas appears on a side table, courtesy of some managing director trying to keep people fueled. You grab a slice of pepperoni that you barely taste, chewing mechanically while scanning the endless stream of news and messages. You spot Julia on the floor, quietly moving to each department head with a clipboard. At one point, she speaks softly to Frank, who nods grimly and hands her a piece of paper. As she passes by you, you see what she's up to, gathering a list of personal email addresses and phone numbers for everyone on the team in case we need to reach you over the weekend. It's framed as contingency for updates, but everyone knows it's really in case the axe falls and they need to send out notices or instructions post-shutdown. Julia's face is drawn, eyes glassy. When she approaches you, she places a gentle hand on your shoulder. "Can you verify I have your correct contact info, sweetie?" she asks, softly, as if you're fragile. You give a weak smile and confirm the details. She squeezes your shoulder kindly. "Hang in there, okay?" It's one of the first human-to-human comforting gestures you've felt, and it nearly makes you tear up, but you swallow it down. Early afternoon brings a slight lull in external chaos, an eerie calm. Perhaps it's the eye of the storm. Markets are still trading, but volume in some areas has dried up. Who wants to trade with Lehman now? Most of the day's drama has been anticipatory, awaiting what will happen after the closing bell and into the weekend's negotiations. The floor now buzzes with quieter conversations, colleagues consoling each other, speculating on outcomes. At one cluster, you overhear a quip, "I'll see your bankruptcy and raise you a Fed intervention." Gallows humor about bets on what happens next. Maya asks you to double-check some client portfolio records. Apparently, if Barclays or someone buys part of us, we may need to transfer accounts quickly. You dive into that task, grateful to focus on something technical for a bit. It strikes you how even now, the professionals are trying to maintain some operations normalcy, making sure client data is intact, positions reconciled. It's like tidying up a ship's deck, even as it's listing heavily, a point of pride to not descend into complete disorder. At around 3 p.m., an internal email arrives from the COO. "All employees, please back up any critical files and ensure all deal documents are updated by end of day. IT systems will be locked for the weekend due to ongoing events." The subtext is clear. A heads up to get your house in order, possibly for due diligence or handoff, or because we may not be allowed back on systems if bankruptcy hits. People start hurriedly saving spreadsheets to USB drives or printing important emails. You do the same for the small projects you'd worked on. If nothing else, for posterity, a record that you did something here. The last hour of trading approaches. A strange hush envelops the room. Many of the phones have gone quiet. Most clients who are going to act have acted by now. Lehman's stock hovers around $3, down over 90% from even a week ago. Effectively a stub value, traders call it, mere speculation on a salvage scenario. The broader market is down too, jittery, but holding its breath. 3:55 p.m. 5 minutes to the close. Normally at this time there'd be a crescendo of final trades and shouting. Instead, a lot of people are just standing by their desks, arms folded, or packing up personal items into boxes and bags. You see one guy gently taking down a framed certificate from his wall, another stuffing family photos into her purse. It's like witnessing a living wake. Frank hasn't budged from his seat in a while, staring at his screen. As the clock ticks to 4 o'clock, the bell on TV dings, the Friday close. There's no cheer, no sigh, just an uncanny stillness. Then a few phones ring again. Reporters calling for comment, probably. We're instructed to refer all media calls to a specific hotline. Few even bother picking up. Frank stands up, straightens his jacket, and addresses the few of us still at the cluster. "That's it then," he says quietly. "Good work, team. We did what we could." It sounds almost like a eulogy. He tries to inject some hope. "We'll know more by Sunday. Maybe by Monday we'll be part of Bank of America or Barclays. And this'll just be a crazy story to tell." No one replies immediately. Then Maya steps forward. offering a brave smile. Either way, I'm proud of us. And I'm proud to have worked with all of you. You see her eyes glistening just a touch. Frank nods appreciatively and unexpectedly pulls Maya into a brief hug. It's touching, given Frank's usual gruffness. Turning to you and Aaron, Frank musters a half smile. You interns picked one hell of a summer, eh? Aaron chuckles darkly. No kidding. Frank extends his hand to both of you in turn. No matter what happens, you both have a reference with me. You did good. Sorry it's been like this. You shake his hand and manage a, "Thank you, sir." It feels like some parting line in a film, but you truly appreciate it. All around, people begin powering down machines, packing up for the weekend, but many pack more than usual, anticipating they might not return. You carefully place a few desk knickknacks and notes into your bag. The intern orientation materials from June, a Lehman logo notepad you had kept pristine, you slip it in too as a keepsake perhaps. You see Aaron fold up his Lehman ID lanyard and stick it in his pocket, like a souvenir. Julia and a couple of HR staff stand near the exit, handing out a sheet of paper to each person as they leave. When you approach, Julia gives you a sad, kind smile and presses the paper into your hand. It's titled, Employee Information for Transition. It contains instructions. Check personal email Sunday for any announcements, a hotline number to call for recorded updates, a reminder about not discussing confidential info outside, and a note that if Monday we are not reporting to normal duties, more info will follow on severance and benefits. It's couched in careful language, but it's essentially, if we go under, here's what you do. Julia looks like she's aged 5 years in one day. Try to have a good night, she says to you gently. Get some rest if you can. You nod and find your voice. Thanks, Julia, for everything. She pats your shoulder. Exiting the building, you notice a line of black town cars and yellow cabs waiting. Unusual, as though expecting an exodus. Some senior executives likely have cars at the ready to take them downtown to the Fed for negotiations. Sure enough, you see a group of suited higher-ups stride out purposefully and into one of the black cars without saying a word. They zoom off, headlights cutting into the dusk. Soldiers off to war, you think, and the battlefield is a boardroom this weekend. You linger on the sidewalk with Maya and Aaron. None of you seem to want to be the first to say goodbye. Finally, Aaron breaks the silence with a forced lightness. So drinks? It's almost comical, but Maya nods vigorously. Yes, absolutely yes. Let's go get very stiff drinks. A tiny smile tugs at your face for the first time all day. It feels right. A small act of defiance against the gloom. Together, you walk off to find a bar that hopefully isn't already filled with other Lehman folks with the same idea. As you leave, you glance back at the Lehman Brothers sign one more time, the letters gleaming softly in the sunset. You can't help but wonder if they'll still be up there come Monday. Behind those doors, the trading floor now lies silent, screens dark, like the calm before a hurricane. All you know is the story isn't over. The most critical chapter will be written over the next 48 hours. And you'll be watching, waiting, and hoping, like everyone else in the Lehman family. Outside a nondescript midtown bar, you, Maya, and Aaron gather in a small circle as the neon sign buzzes to life in the evening gloom. The place is dim and half empty. Apparently many colleagues chose different haunts or went straight home. Fine by you, the semi-privacy is welcome. You slide into a booth, the vinyl squeaking under you. Maya orders a whiskey neat. Aaron, a pint of whatever's on tap. And for you, Maybe just a cola for now. Your head is already swimming without alcohol. For a minute, none of you speak. The weight of the week hangs heavily, and now that you're away from the frenetic energy of the trading floor, sheer exhaustion threatens to take over. Maya breaks the silence, raising her glass in a shaky hand. To making it through whatever today was. The three of you clink glasses, and your soda. The whiskey's amber catches the light as she takes a long sip, eyes closed. Aaron exhales and runs a hand through his hair. My roommates are probably reading all this online right now, he says. They texted asking if I'm bringing home leftover Lehman swag like coffee mugs as collector items. He attempts a smirk, but it falters. Maya shakes her head. Dark humor, Aaron. Better than crying, he replies with a shrug. A TV mounted above the bar, inevitably tuned to news, catches your eye. It's CNBC again, doing a recap of the day. The volume is low, but captions scroll. Lehman no bailout. Clock ticks on deal. They show a montage from the afternoon. Employees leaving the headquarters carrying boxes and bags, looking grim. The anchor notes, employees were seen departing with personal belongings, anticipating a possible bankruptcy filing. Lehman's collapse, if it happens, would be the largest in U.S. history, with over $600 billion in assets and $619 billion in liabilities. Hearing the numbers, you feel the sting, a reminder of the sheer scale, $619 billion owed. It's incomprehensible, almost obscene. Maya follows your gaze and grimaces. They love that fact, don't they? Largest in history. She imitates the anchor with mock drama. Biggest failure ever. Coming up next. There's bitterness there. A resentment that the media treats this like spectacle, while real people's lives are in free fall. Your phone buzzes on the table. A text from a college friend. Dude, Lehman's all over the news. You okay? How to even answer that? You type back a quick, hanging in. It's crazy. We'll call later. It dawns on you how world-sized this event is. That friends and family, out of state, are watching it unfold from afar. You also see a text from your dad. No matter what happens, proud of you. Call when you can. That one you don't reply to immediately, fearing your voice might crack if you call right now. But it gives you a boost of warmth. Aaron is scrolling through his phone too, maybe reading Twitter or news sites. I still can't believe they might let us fail, he mutters. All those years of too big to fail talk after Bear, and now. Maya sets down her whiskey glass, tracing a finger along its rim. I think Paulson wants to make an example, she says quietly. Show that the government won't rescue everyone so banks learn a lesson. She scoffs softly. Hell of a way to teach it, huh? Using us as the whipping boy. You recall one of the tourists in a news clip earlier saying, you can't expect the Fed to bail everybody out. From a taxpayer perspective, maybe that's understandable, but sitting here with them, it feels personal and unfair. Aaron looks between you two. Do you guys think? What do you think will actually happen Monday? It's a heavy question, and he's addressing it to Maya mostly, as the experienced one. She doesn't answer immediately. Instead, she fishes out something from her purse, a blue Lehman Brothers pen, and rolls it between her fingers thoughtfully. My head says it's 50-50. Either Barclays pulls a miracle and buys us last minute, or, she sighs, or we file Chapter 11 on Sunday night, and Monday we show up only to clean out our desks for real. Despite having anticipated that, hearing her say it out loud is chilling. You notice she said my head. So you ask gently, what about your heart? Maya gives a sad half smile. My heart? My heart still stubbornly hopes someone, maybe the feds secretly, will intervene Sunday at 11:59 p.m. and stop this, because it's just too devastating to imagine the alternative. This firm's been my life for 8 years, guys. It gave me my career, mentors, friends. She gestures at you both. It gave me you two in a way. And now to see it like this. She trails off. Her eyes glimmer. She blinks away the forming tears and takes a quick sip to cover it. Aaron, trying to lighten the mood, cracks a smirk. Well, if Monday were free agents, maybe I'll finally sleep past 5 a.m. for once. Maya chuckles softly. There's the bright side. You manage a small smile too. In truth, the thought of freedom is overshadowed by the uncertainty of finding another job in this crisis. But right now, a sliver of humor is like a pressure valve. As the hour grows later, talk drifts to more personal things, where we're from, how our families are reacting. Maya confides that her parents in Chicago are worried sick. She hasn't told them much, but they keep seeing the news. Aaron jokes his mom asked if he needed her to pick him up like it was grade school and he missed the bus. That actually makes you laugh, genuinely. A needed release. Eventually, reality intrudes again when Maya's phone buzzes with a Bloomberg alert. She glances at it. Heads of major banks reconvening at New York Fed Saturday. No comment from attendees. She puts it face down on the table. The all-nighter meetings are starting. They'll be at it tomorrow too, I guess. The thought that right now, as we talk, executives and government officials are likely debating our fate in some high-rise or wood-paneled conference room is surreal. It's entirely out of our hands. How strange, you think, that your entire job and future, and those of thousands of others, depend on invisible negotiations you'll only hear about after the fact. Aaron raises his now empty beer glass wryly. To the powers that be, please don't screw us completely. You and Maya raise your drinks in a mock toast to that, with a collective, "Here, here." The night wears on and fatigue settles in. Maya pays the tab, waving off your protest. Let the VP treat the interns this one last time, she insisted with a wink. Outside the bar, the three of you linger on the sidewalk under the streetlights. The city around feels oddly calm for a Friday night, or maybe it's just that your senses are dulled by the intense day. We'll keep in touch over the weekend, okay? Maya says, mostly to you, since Aaron mentions he'll likely swing by his desk tomorrow to finish some grad school applications. He had been planning to do an MBA anyway, it turns out. You exchange numbers directly. Even though you have work emails, it seems prudent to have personal contacts. Any update I hear, I'll text. Maya promises. You do the same. She surprises you with a quick hug. Get some rest, kiddo. You realize she's only maybe 8 years older, but in this moment she's taken on a protective big sister role. Aaron gives a one-armed hug too, in that casual guy way. If we're not co-workers next week, it's been real, man. It has. You agree quietly. As you part ways, you turn back for a second. Maya is walking east toward her subway, her silhouette small in the neon glow, likely already composing herself to face whatever tomorrow brings. Aaron is heading uptown on foot, hands in pockets. You feel a swell of gratitude for them. Facing this madness alone would have been infinitely harder. On your own route home, you pass by the Lehman building one more time, drawn to it like a magnet. It's nearly 10 p.m., and the lobby is mostly dark, a lone security guard visible through the glass. The massive logo still gleams above, but behind it you sense emptiness. A couple of news vans remain parked across the street, crew members packing up gear for the night. The story paused until further developments. You hesitate, then keep walking. There's nothing more to do there. At home, you collapse into bed without even changing clothes. Your mind swirls with images from the day, flickering stock screens, Julia's pained smile, Frank's handshake, Maya's trembling finger on the sell button. As you drift off, you think, whatever happens, by Monday morning I'll know how this story ends. That thought is both relieving and terrifying. Soon sleep overtakes you, mercifully dreamless despite the turmoil. And so Friday closes, not with resolution, but with a collective breath held, suspended in the uncertain space between disaster and salvation. The fate of Lehman Brothers, and all of us attached to it, lies in the balance of the long, tense weekend to come. Saturday morning greets you with oppressive September humidity and a racing mind that barely let you sleep. You find yourself awake at dawn, reflexively checking your phone for news. There are no new messages from Maya or any colleagues yet, but the news apps are buzzing. Lehman weekend talks begin. Crisis meeting at NY Fed. Wall Street braces for Lehman fallout. You rub your eyes and sit up. This is it. The 48 hours that will decide everything. By mid-morning, you can't stand pacing your tiny apartment any longer. You throw on a casual shirt. Your Lehman polo feels too on the nose, so you avoid it, and head out. Before you realize it, your feet have taken you toward the financial district, specifically to the fortress-like building of the Federal Reserve Bank of New York on Liberty Street. It's not particularly close to your place, but you felt pulled here. When you arrive, you're not alone. A gaggle of reporters and camera crews stakes out the entrance. Across the street, curious onlookers and a few protesters. Something about greedy bankers scrawled on a sign, mill about. You blend into the small crowd, keeping to the back. In front of the Fed's imposing doors, a Blacktown car pulls up. Out steps Tim Geithner, president of the NY Fed, recognizable from photos. Slight build, determined gait. He offers a terse, no comment, to a flurry of shouted questions and disappears inside. Moments later, another car, the distinctive mane of Jamie Dimon of JP Morgan, strides through the throng, ignoring questions. Then, John Thane of Merrill Lynch, looking stone-faced. They're all assembling like players before a big game. It hits you that these titans are likely deciding the fate of your firm right now, inside those walls. You feel almost dizzy at the disconnect. You, an intern, watching from the curb as power brokers convene behind closed doors regarding your future. A hand taps your shoulder, jolting you. It's Aaron. I thought that was you, he says. Apparently he had the same idea to come rubberneck the Fed meeting. He holds 2 paper cups of coffee, offers you one. Figured you'd be here. You accept the cup gratefully. The two of you stand there, saying little, just watching as more banking heavyweights file in. The CEO of Bank of America, with an entourage, representatives from European banks via teleconference reportedly, and hush-hush government officials. It's like a grim parade. Reporters nearby mention tidbits they've heard. Barclays still interested, but UK regulators in a bind, says one. Another, Paulson basically told the banks to come up with a private pool to cover Lehman's bad assets. No takers so far. Aaron nudges you. If no one chips in, Barclays or whoever won't do it. Why buy a sinking ship without a life raft? He mutters. You know he's right. The toxic real estate assets are the sticking point. No one wants to swallow them whole. A light drizzle begins, causing the media folks to pop open umbrellas and plastic covers for cameras. You and Aaron duck under the awning of a closed shop nearby, still keeping an eye on the Fed building. After a while, the drama of standing there wanes. It's clear nothing immediate is coming out. Well, that's enough reality TV for me. Aaron finally says with a weak chuckle, I'm gonna head up to the office. Yes, I know, I'm crazy, but I have some stuff to pick up. You decide to join him. Perhaps being at the familiar environs of the office, even nearly empty, might feel less helpless than loitering outside the Fed. On the subway ride uptown, Aaron remarks, Can you imagine? Monday we might all be working for Barclays. Like we'll walk in and Brits everywhere. It's a facetious scenario, but not impossible if a last-minute acquisition happens. Better than unemployed, you reply. True, he nods. Stepping into Lehman's lobby on a weekend is bizarre. The lights are dimmed to energy-saving mode. Security nods at you. They've clearly seen a trickle of employees coming in to retrieve items, or just because they didn't know where else to go. On the trading floor, you find maybe 24 people scattered across the vast space that normally holds hundreds. It's quiet, the air eerily still, without the weekday roar of HVAC and electronics. A few colleagues sit at their desks, not working exactly. One is blankly staring at a screen showing a college football game. Another is packing books into a box. It feels almost like walking through an office on a holiday, except the faces are grim. You go to your desk. Your computer still logs in, though network news sites are blocked, maybe to discourage leaks, or just as standard weekend IT policy. There are a handful of internal emails from higher-ups giving minimal updates. Talks ongoing, remain available by phone. One note from HR reminds everyone to secure personal data and that counseling services are available, a tactful hint at stress support. Across the floor, you notice Maya at her station. She wasn't there when you first scanned, probably bending under her desk or something. You wander over. She's meticulously organizing paper files into a banker's box. Color-coded folders, deal documents, personal mementos. Hi, you offer softly. She looks up, surprised but pleased. Hey, you. I see we're all gluttons for punishment coming in today. You shrug. Better than stewing at home. She invites you to sit. I was just clearing out some stuff, in case you know. She picks up a framed photo from her desk. It's a teen picture from a volunteer day last year. She lingers on it, then packs it gently. How was downtown? She asks, knowing you well enough to guess where you were. You relay what you observed at the Fed. Maya sighs. They'll probably haggle until Sunday night. Checking her phone, she adds. Rumor is, Barclays is asking the UK government to waive a shareholder vote requirement. If that doesn't happen, no deal. She's likely referencing what we gleaned from media. British regulators not allowing Barclays to guarantee Lehman's obligations without a lengthy process. So even if they want to buy us, red tape might kill it, she says, frustration lacing her tone. Aaron joins you both, flopping into an empty chair. This feels like waiting in a hospital corridor for news, he comments. No, scratch that. Waiting outside the operating room where you're also the patient but can't do anything. Maya and you both nod at the aptness. To pass time, you help Maya with some file sorting, and she makes small talk about your university, your courses, anything to break from the crisis talk for a few minutes. It's oddly calming, re-establishing some normal mentor-intern chat. Aaron finds some pastries left in the pantry, slightly stale danishes from who knows when, and shares them. The three of you sit there nibbling quietly like a forlorn little picnic in an empty land. In the afternoon, a surprise. Frank appears on the floor. He's in casual clothes, something you've never seen. A polo and khakis, carrying 2 large duffel bags. You all greet him. Just picking up some things, he says gruffly, lifting the bags as evidence. You suspect he's clearing out the bulk of his office items discreetly to avoid Monday's potential chaos. He looks around the sparsely populated floor and forces a smile. Kinda peaceful like this, eh? No one really responds to the joke. Frank sets down the bags and asks, "Any word?" Maya fills him in on what she's heard. He just shakes his head slowly. "If a miracle was coming, we'd have heard by now. I have a bad feeling Paulson's gonna let us burn to prove his point." It's the first time Frank openly concedes a negative outcome. It stings. Maya touches his arm lightly. "Still some time left," she offers. He grunts, then with a sigh says, "I'm heading home to be with family. I suggest you kids do the same. If the worst happens, we'll meet here Monday to sort things out." Way he says worst and sort things out implies a final closure, not continuation. He picks up his duffels. "No matter what, it's been an honor. Take care of yourselves." And with that, Frank walks back out, shoulders heavy, carrying as much of his Lehman life with him as he can. The mood after he leaves is somber. It's late afternoon now. The three of you silently agree there's nothing more to gain by lingering. You each gather anything you might need, just in case Monday isn't an option. Notebooks, personal files, that spare phone charger in your drawer. As you sling your bag on, you take one last look at the trading floor, bathed in weekend shadows. The sun is starting to set, golden light streaming through the windows and casting long beams across the rows of empty desks. In that moment, the place looks heartbreakingly beautiful, serene and dignified, nothing like the chaotic battleground of the weekdays. You memorize it, unsure if you'll see it alive again. Exiting the building together, you exchange hugs with Maya and Aaron once more. This time, no words are needed. The plan is implicit. Wait, watch phones, be ready. Let's hope the next time we step in there, we have jobs, Aaron quips half-heartedly. Maya gives a brave smile. Hope indeed. Sunday is endless. Every few hours, you, Maya, and Aaron trade texts. No news yet around noon. Barclays still in talks by mid-afternoon, according to a leak on WSJ's site, which you and everyone likely saw. The markets in Asia will open Sunday evening our time, so the clock is racing. By 7 p.m., you're glued to the TV at home, phone in hand. A line from one report catches your ear. Bank of America has officially reached a deal to acquire Merrill Lynch for $50 billion, sources say. So it's true, BofA went for Merrill. That's one path closed. Your phone buzzes. A message from Maya. Merrill sold, so BofA out. Only Barclays can save us now. You respond, "Yep, saw. Fingers crossed." It's around 8 p.m. Sunday, September 14th, when the first alerts hit. Barclays has pulled out of talks. No deal for Lehman. You feel your stomach drop and a cold sweat break out. Immediately after, another alert. Lehman Brothers board voting to file for Chapter 11 bankruptcy tonight. Even though this outcome loomed, seeing it confirmed sends you reeling. You fumble to dial Maya but can't get through. Lines are probably jammed. Instead, she texts, "It's over. They're filing, oh my God." 2 seconds later, one from Aaron, "We're done. It's on Bloomberg. Biggest bankruptcy ever." Your mind goes blank for a moment. On TV, they show scenes outside Lehman HQ, where employees are checking phones, and some look visibly upset. A few are being interviewed live. A young analyst with tears in her eyes says, "I don't know what to do. I got the email from HR, and I guess that's it." The anchor repeats, "Lehman Brothers will file for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection in the largest bankruptcy filing in U.S. history, involving over $600 billion in assets. Hearing those words feels like a punch. They also mention a name, Reserve Primary Fund, a money market fund that held Lehman debt, and now it might break the buck, meaning investors could lose money. The contagion is immediate. Your phone buzzes non-stop now. Friends, family, all checking in. You skim the preview of an email that comes to your work account, accessible on your phone. It's from the CEO's office, time-stamped 8:45 p.m. To all employees, it is with great sadness that I inform you, we are filing for Chapter 11. Employees of Lehman Brothers Holdings, Inc. are advised not to report to work on Monday until further notice. More information will be provided on benefit and separation arrangements. Thank you for your dedication. That's as much as you can read through the tears suddenly blurring your vision. This is the death notice of Lehman Brothers, delivered impersonally to your inbox. You wipe your eyes, hands shaking, and try calling Maya again. This time it connects. She answers, and you can hear the emotions she's wrestling with, her voice wavering between anger and sorrow. They did it. They really let us fail, is the first thing she says. You can only respond softly, I'm so sorry. She takes a ragged breath. We fought so hard this week, and it meant nothing in the end. You let her vent. Just listening. She mentions her team's group chat is flooded. Some are in disbelief, others sending heartbreak emojis or sad jokes like R.I.P. Lehman, 1850 to 2008. It's like a digital wake. You share that you got the firm-wide email. She has too. So that's it. We don't even go in tomorrow, she says quietly. The realization hits both of you. You've already had your last day at Lehman and didn't fully know it at the time. Thank God you said those goodbyes and took those belongings. Not everyone did. Before hanging up, Maya makes you promise to keep in touch. We're all alumni of a club no one wanted to join, right? She attempts a laugh. But seriously, I'll do anything I can to help you going forward. Her mentor mode kicking in even as the ground shifts under her own feet. You thank her profusely and echo the sentiment. It occurs to you that whatever happens next, the bonds formed won't disappear overnight, like the company did. Next, you trade texts with Aaron. He's characteristically blunt. Well, see you around, man. Drinks on me later this week if we can afford them, LOL. You respond with equal dark humor, only if it's happy hour specials. He follows with a more sincere message. Seriously, been great working with you. We'll all land on our feet somehow. You agree and send a virtual handshake emoji. Back on the TV, scenes of employees streaming out of various Lehman offices worldwide loop continuously. London staff carrying those now iconic Lehman-branded gym bags and boxes, some even with the foosball table from their break room. The Brits salvaged anything not nailed down, apparently. In New York, a group of Lehman folks gather at a pub near the office, already raising glasses in a somber toast that cameras capture through the window. One of the reporters narrates, for many Lehman employees there is shock and anger, years of work, shares of company stock that are now worthless, fortunes and careers upended in a weekend. They show a quick interview with an older gentleman, a managing director type, as he leaves the building. He looks shell-shocked but maintains composure. I gave 20 years to this firm. We always thought the Lehman family took care of its own. This is just heartbreaking, he says, voice cracking. Watching that, you think of Frank. You wonder how he's handling it, whether he broke down in private or put on a brave face for his family. The news also mentions AIG, another financial giant now teetering, likely next in line for crisis talks. It's dawning on everyone that Lehman's collapse is not the end of the crisis, but perhaps the beginning of a scarier phase. They cite that the Dow futures are plunging even before markets open, and global markets are rattled. You recall something Maya said about a ripple effect, and now you see it beginning to unfold. Money markets panicking, banks tightening credit with each other, everyone wondering who's next. Hours pass in a blur as you field concerned calls from family. It's close to midnight when you finally shut off the TV and sit in silence. On your desk lies your Lehman employee badge. It's just a piece of plastic with your photo and name, but it symbolized belonging to something bigger until tonight. You gently set it aside, wondering if you'll keep it as a memento or shove it in a drawer out of sight. Exhaustion hits, but sleep doesn't come easily. Your mind replays everything from the past week, as if trying to convince itself it really happened. Was it only a few days ago I walked in Monday morning thinking it'd be a normal week? It feels like ages. Eventually, you drift into a fitful slumber. Monday arrives not with the usual jarring alarm and rush to the train, but with an empty calendar and a heavy heart. You wake up to sunlight filtering in, a pit in your stomach as memory floods back. It's real. Lehman is gone. For a brief moment, you consider not going anywhere near the office. The official directive was to not report to work, and yet a part of you feels an irresistible pull to see it one last time, to gather closure, to say goodbye properly, maybe even find colleagues there doing the same. So you dress in business casual and head out. The city feels different today. On the subway, you catch fragments of conversation. Many riders are talking about Lehman. Some mention how their bank stocks are down. Others gossip about acquaintances who work there. You sit quietly, an incognito member of a disaster everyone's dissecting. It's an odd, out-of-body feeling. Approaching the once imposing Lehman Brothers headquarters on 7th Avenue, you see a sizable crowd outside. But it's not workers bustling in. It's media. Dozens of cameras, reporters with microphones, vans with satellite dishes. And then the Lehman employees. They're easy to spot, emerging from the building carrying cardboard boxes, suit jackets slung over arms, security badges clipped to belts with nowhere to scan anymore. Some exit alone, others in small groups. Some faces are dry and stony, others red and tear-streaked. It's a scene of exodus. You push through the onlookers and make your way to the entrance. Security is letting people in to collect belongings, but ensuring only employees enter. You show your badge to a guard. He gives a sympathetic half-smile and waves you in. Inside, the lobby is chaotic in a muted way. Stacks of folded cardboard boxes are available, likely delivered in knowing anticipation. HR representatives and security personnel stand around directing folks, answering questions in hushed tones. On a table, someone has left a pile of printouts titled FAQs for Employees, Lehman Bankruptcy, covering things like benefits, COBRA for health insurance, how to get final paychecks, etc. It's jarring, like some dystopian orientation packet. You decide to ride up to the trading floor, your former floor, one last time. The elevator opens, and you step out to a scene both familiar and surreal. The normally vibrant space is now more like a wake. Many desks are already cleared, just phones and monitors remain. A few co-workers roam the aisles with boxes, carefully placing personal effects inside. A cluster of people stand by the window quietly talking, perhaps just consoling each other or exchanging contacts. You spot Maya at what was her desk, now nearly empty except her plants, which she's gingerly putting into a cardboard box. She's dressed in jeans and a sweater today, the professional facade shed. Yet she carries herself with a strange calm. When she sees you, she offers a sad smile and opens her arms. You embrace without words for a long moment. "How are you holding up?" she asks softly. It's a loaded question today. I'm okay. You?" She shrugs, eyes a bit puffy, as if she might have cried earlier. "I will be, eventually." Together you finish packing her last items. She saved a little desk nameplate. Maya Gupta, VP, shaking her head at it. "I guess I'll have to get a new one of these someplace else." There's a ghost of humor in her voice. You both walk around the floor. Here was where Frank's desk used to be. It's been cleaned out completely. Maya mentions he came in at 6 a.m., cleared everything, sent a brief email to the team, wishing them luck, and left before most arrived. "I think he just couldn't watch this," she says. You picture his gruff, proud demeanor and understand. By the main seating area, someone has set up a farewell board of sorts, a whiteboard titled Lehman Legends, Leave a Note. Many have scrawled messages in marker. "Thank you for 10 great years. We'll miss you all. Born 1850, died 2008, never forget. Team Mortgage, we kicked ass until the end." And one that simply quotes our former corporate motto, "Where vision gets built, we'll build again." Maya borrows a marker and writes, "Fixed income family. It was an honor." Maya, in her neat handwriting. She nods for you to add something. You think for a moment, then write, "Intern class of 2008, crazy but unforgettable summer. Thank you," your name. It feels like signing a yearbook that no one will keep. A commotion by the elevators draws your attention. A group of Barclays representatives in suits is walking through, accompanied by what looks like remaining Lehman operations managers. They tour the floor briskly, clipboards in hand, perhaps inventorying what's now technically part of Barclays. Over the weekend, Barclays agreed to purchase certain U.S. operations, like trading desks, computers, etc., after the bankruptcy, to salvage pieces. They avoid eye contact with employees. It's awkward. Vultures picking over a carcass, though logically it means some jobs might be saved. Word is, some people from certain divisions will be hired by Barclays to keep businesses running. Everyone watches them with a mix of resentment and hope. Julia appears, handing out envelopes, final pay stubs, severance info. She's one of the few still officially working, now in transition mode. When she reaches you and Maya, she gives each of you an envelope and a heartfelt look. "I'm so sorry," she says. Maya thanks her and they hug. Presumably they work together on hires or something. Julia then turns to you. "You okay? You got a place to stay and everything?" It's sweet that amid this, she worries for the interns, many of whom came from out of town. You assure her you're fine. "All right," she sighs. "Take care of yourself. And good luck." It sounds final, and it is. She moves on to the next row, her task and burden heavy. Finally, you pack up the last of your own belongings that you hadn't taken during the weekend. A couple notepads, the name tag on your cubicle. Not much really. You travel light as an intern. As you place them in a small box, you find the Lehman Employee Handbook you were issued on day one. The cover now feels like a relic. You leaf through quickly. It outlines values of the firm, the code of conduct, benefits details. It even has a section titled Career Development at Lehman Brothers. You close it with a sad smile and drop it in the box. Not much use now. As you prepare to leave, you take a slow 360-degree look around the trading floor. You try to soak in every detail, the empty chairs, screens flickering with meaningless data, no trades to process now, the skyline view out the windows where the sun is bright. You recall the first time you stepped onto this floor, the awe you felt at the buzzing energy. It's hard to reconcile that memory with the funeral-like silence today. Maya stands beside you, box in hands. "Ready?" she asks. "Not really," you admit, voice low. She puts a hand on your shoulder. "Me neither, but it's time." Together you make the final walk to the elevators. A few colleagues happen to pack in with you. Among them, one of the IT guys with whom you shared jokes, and a senior trader from another group. It's a cramped elevator of somber faces and boxes. Someone breaks the tension with a wry comment. "Well, at least Monday traffic will be lighter without us on the road to work." A couple of chuckles circle, gallows humor still flickering. In the lobby, you turn in your security badge to a carton being used for collection. That small act, surrendering your badge, brings a lump to your throat. This is really the end. You carry your box through the revolving doors and out onto 7th Avenue. Cameras flash immediately, press still documenting every last employee leaving. Maya steps out with you, and for a moment, you both are caught in a dozen camera lenses. Former Lehman staff leaving HQ, you hear a reporter narrating. Maya straightens her back, subtly wipes the corner of her eye, and keeps walking. You follow her, head high, refusing to let them capture you looking utterly defeated. Across the street, a crowd of curious onlookers, tourists, other office workers on lunch break, have gathered just to watch this historic, if tragic, spectacle. It's uncomfortable, but you try to tune it out. One person actually approaches and says to you quietly, "Sorry for your loss." It's odd hearing it phrased like a condolence, but you realize it's apt. It is a loss. Maya's husband arrives then, double parking a car and rushing to help her with the box and plants. He gives her a comforting kiss on the forehead. They chat briefly. He nods to you respectfully, offering to fit your box too, but you decline. You can manage. With a final hug, you and Maya part. "Stay in touch, all right? We'll get through this." "I will promise," you say. "Thank you for everything." She smiles through the tears she's no longer hiding. "You're gonna do great things, I know it. This is just a bump in the road." With a last squeeze of your hand, she gets into the car. You wave as they pull away, and she waves back through the window, face receding into the city blur. And then you're alone. One of the last standing Lehman interns, box in hands, looking up at the building. They haven't removed the sign yet. Lehman Brothers still crowns the entrance, but you notice the lights in the lobby now switched off behind the tinted glass. A chapter of history is truly closed. A week later, you find yourself sitting on a bench in Bryant Park, just a few blocks from the now former Lehman building. The autumn leaves are turning, a few drifting down onto the grass. It's peaceful here, a welcome contrast to the chaos of the days following the bankruptcy. You've been coming here often to think and plan your next steps. In your hands is your Lehman Brothers ID badge, which you kept after all. They didn't miss one intern's badge in that box. You run your thumb over the raised logo. This little piece of plastic opened doors, literally and figuratively, during your time at the firm. Now it's just a memento. You consider tossing it in the trash, but something stops you. Instead, you tuck it into your notebook. Maybe one day you'll show it to someone and say, "I was there when Lehman fell." Your phone buzzes. A text from Maya. She's updating a group of you about her status. It reads, "Hi guys, just had coffee with an old contact. May have a lead at Barclays for me. Fingers crossed. How's everyone?" One by one, replies come. Some former colleagues found spots at Barclays, which acquired bits of Lehman, or other firms. Some are still looking. Aaron messages that he's taking the severance and enrolling in business school earlier than planned. Maybe safer in academia for now, lol. Frank doesn't text. He's not the group chat type. But Maya mentioned she heard he's weighing retirement, probably for the best. He deserves a break after all this, she had said. You type in your update, interviewing at another bank next week, also considering finishing school. Doing okay. Thanks to all of you. Couldn't have survived that week without you. You add a little emoji, a salute, and hit send. Closing your eyes, you take a deep breath of crisp air. What a ride it was. In the span of that fateful week and weekend, you witnessed the inner workings of a massive institution's collapse. From the front row, you saw the warning signs, the liquidity crunch, the plummeting stock, the vanishing confidence. You felt the human toll. Colleagues in denial, in panic, in grief. You heard the words of power brokers echo through phone lines and TV, sealing Lehman's fate with terms like no bailout and bankruptcy. But you also witnessed resilience and camaraderie in those final hours. The way traders kept answering phones to the end, how teams supported each other with humor and kindness amid despair. The small acts, Julia quietly preparing severance so people could have some cushion, Frank shaking interns' hands and offering references even as his world crumbled, Maya ensuring you were okay when she had every right to fall apart. These human moments stand out more than any balance sheet figure. In retrospect, the collapse of Lehman taught you more about banking and life than any textbook or internship project could. You got a front-row lesson in how fragile confidence can be, how a venerable firm with over $600 billion in assets can implode virtually overnight. You learned how crucial those overnight funding markets and behind-the-scenes deals are. Terms like repo, haircuts, counterparty risk aren't just jargon now but visceral realities. You saw how the lack of a backstop, in this case by government, can turn a solvable crisis into an insoluble one, a point historians and economists will debate for decades. Yet beyond market mechanics, you gained insight into character under pressure. Some leaders buckled, some rose, some protected others, some looked out for themselves. You'll never forget the mix of fear and determination in that trading floor, the Lehman family, trying to hold together until the very end. Opening your eyes, you watch a few birds pecking at crumbs on the park path. Life continues around you. Tourists line up for coffee. A businessman in a Morgan Stanley jacket briskly walks by on a call, their world still intact for now. The financial system is wounded but still functioning, thanks in part to subsequent rescues for other institutions. Already talk of new regulations, lessons learned, and blame assignments swirl in the news. Lehman is becoming a cautionary tale, a symbol, but to you, it's more than an abstract symbol. It's faces and voices. It's Maya, Frank, Julia, Aaron, and countless others. Itabe, you stand up, feeling a strange mix of sorrow and optimism. Sorrow for what was lost, a great firm, colleagues, jobs, maybe a bit of your youthful innocence thinking big banks were invincible. But optimism, because you've seen the worst and know you can endure. If you can get through being an intern during the collapse of Lehman Brothers, you suspect you can get through just about anything in a finance career or beyond. As you walk out of the park, you take one last glance south toward the Lehman building. It's just part of the skyline now, stripped of its identity. Rumor is, Barclays will put their logo up soon. You whisper a quiet goodbye in your mind, to the building, to the crazy week, to the internship that became an unintended epic adventure. Your phone dings again, another colleague sharing a networking contact. You pick up your pace, heading toward the library where you plan to polish your resume for upcoming interviews. A new chapter is starting. The city is still here. The markets will open today like they always do, with some turbulence surely, and you have a future to grab hold of. In the days to come, you'll tell your friends and family simplified anecdotes of this event, but deep down, you know only those who were there truly understand the emotional roller coaster of Lehman's final days. You make a mental note to keep in touch with your Lehman family, as scattered as it may become. Shared history is a powerful bond. Heading east on 42nd Street, you feel the autumn sun on your face. The tension of that week has begun to dissipate from your shoulders. In its place, a resolve forms. You survived the collapse of Lehman Brothers as a 21-year-old intern, an experience no one can take away, and one that will shape you in ways you've yet to fully realize. And though the end of Lehman was not what you or anyone wanted, you carry forward lessons written in indelible ink: humility before risk, the importance of resilience, and the humanity that underpins even the coldest of financial transactions. These are the things you'll remember long after the news has moved on from 2008. With a faint smile of determination, you merge into the Midtown crowd. A chapter has closed, but your story, shaped deeply by Lehman's last stand, is just beginning.